Hello everyone, in this video I'll show you how you can create a shader that uses a mask map in Unity shader graph. First we create a PBR graph to get started. To begin with, I'll create some properties that we'll be using for first the mask, and then I'll create all the other properties that we're using for both individual materials that we are masking together. An Albedo Map and metallic values and the smoothness value for both of the materials. I'll just call them Albedo 1, metallic 1, and so on. Same for 2. We are also going to mask a normal map. Because it's a bit different to all the other properties, but I think normal map is important when dealing with a PBR shader. I prepared some noise textures. I simply created them in GIMP. I made 3 of them, and for each also a normal map, simply with the grayscale function from Unity itself. Now I forgot to create the colors that we will be multiplying with the textures to also be able to adjust the texture's color. Add a multiply node and plug the color and the texture, which is connected to a sample texture, with what you have to do with all of the textures you use. Simply multiply them. Do the same for the second texture with the property of color to. Now we have a basic setup of a texture that is multiplied by a color with a color, and now we need to combine them according to the mask texture. The mask texture works in the way that one is the first material, and so for example white represents the one material and black the other, and all the gray values in between are a mix of both materials. We are multiplying the mask map with the one texture to lay out the texture on all the white parts and multiply the other texture with one minus connected to the mask map to make all the black parts white and the white parts black. So we are basically multiplying them with the black parts, but with one. Now for showing what it's already capable of doing, I'll create a material and assign it to a sample sphere. Select the shader graph we just created. I already put in the noise map as a mask, and now you can already choose the colors and see how it's nicely blended between them. The next step we're going to do is assigning the metallic and smoothness values, also by the mask map. We are going to use the output of the mask map and one minus of the mask map a lot. Add them both together to create an output texture that we can plug into the metallic of the PBR master node. For the sake of showing that it works, I set some default values, and as you can see, the 0.5 gets assigned to the white parts of the mask map, and the 0.3 smooth metallic gets assigned to the black parts. The same now for the smoothness. It's currently black again because the default values are set to 0, but I'll change that so we can see the same happening here. Instead of the values, you could also use textures for the metallic and smoothness, but I didn't prepare any textures for that use, so we are gonna only use the values here. Let's set up a reflection probe to see what happens if we turn the smoothness fully up, to see some reflections happening. Currently the smoothness values can, and the metallic also can, go over 1, and that's not how it's supposed to be. Can cause some errors, so we're gonna change that. Currently you see the reflections working just fine. now set a mode for the metallic and smoothness values to slider. It automatically sets the range between 0 and 1, and that's what we want to have for both. Next, we are starting with the normal blending. We also use the textures for the normal maps and are going to combine them in the same way we did with the other textures, with only the difference that we can't use the multiply node when working with the normal maps. So we have to use the normal strength, but it works just the same as the multiply node. Don't forget to set up the normal map and set the type to normal. Also note that the mode is set to bump on both normal maps, otherwise it's not going to work. I'll assign some textures here, some normal maps from the noise textures I created, just to show how it works. Again, use as a strength input for one of them the mask texture itself, and for the other one the one minus the mask texture. Now with a normal blend node we combine them and can directly plug them into the normal input of the PBR node. We can now assign them in the material. First, I forgot earlier to show that the normal Albedo maps work. You can see them here. Now the normal maps. You don't need to assign an Albedo map in order to assign the normal maps, and I removed them to show that. No, the only thing that's really missing is to be able to control the amount of bumpiness from the normal map. So that's what we are going to add next. The lightning with the normal maps works just as it's supposed to be. Now, in order to control the strength, we are just gonna add another normal strength node and plug a strength value for each normal map in. We are gonna create properties. Now something happens that can happen sometimes, that the shader editor is bugged and doesn't react anymore. You can just click on the X in the top right corner and close it, save, and open it up again. Same happened now with the other normal strength value. Close it again, save, and open it up again. Put it in the right order directly under the normal map. Feed it into the strength input of the normal strength node, and that's it. Now it turned completely dark blue. That's because the normal strength is defaulted to 0, and if we change it to 1 again, it is visible. Now you can see that you can change the normal strength, and we reached everything we wanted to achieve in this video. I hope this video was useful, and see you again in the next video. Bye.